The Celtics Talk podcast is presented by 24autogroup.com, 11 locations across New England.
What's up, everybody? Post-game pod coming to you after the Celtics finally back. Feels like we haven't done this in a month. Well, I mean, we were in this podcast room the other day, but feels like we haven't had a game to talk about in forever. But the Celtics shake off some early rust, take down the Detroit Pistons, 123-99, on a game where they didn't have Jason Tatum. And look, I could sit here and tell you about, we go up and down the roster. Luke Cornett had the most points in the first quarter. Kristaps Porzingis was pretty brilliant, then said afterward that, give him a couple more games and he'll be even better, which is a scary thought for the rest of the league. Drew Holiday, coming off that poor outing against the Grizzlies, bounces back, had one of his better offensive games, hung in there. Derrick White made 7 threes, and it's like the third or fourth thing I mentioned. So contributions up and down this roster. The other guy, the headliner, Jaylen Brown. On a night you don't have Jason Tatum, you're thinking they have to go out there, kind of crank up the scoring for this team. Nope, that's the luxury of these Celtics. There's so much depth here that Jaylen Brown goes out there, focuses on rebounds, assists, play some defense. Couple careless turnovers that will take away a little bit from his night, but overall, plus 30 in 30 minutes. He was fantastic. But no, the person we have to make this intro about is Payton Pritchard, because yet again, it's a Payton Pritchard night. So really jagged start. Neither team can kind of get it going. Could feel the rust from both teams having what amounted to 5-6 days off. I think the Pistons hadn't played since Thursday of last week. Celtics not since Sunday, and it was just like, yeah, there was some real bricks going up there in the first quarter. In comes Payton Pritchard, standing ovation from the Garden faithful, and off he went. 27 points, 10 assists, kind of hung in there at the end to just feed all the young guys that came in to play with him. Plus 23 overall. He got this, it wasn't a standing ovation, but it was a loud ovation when he checks into the game. The type that's usually reserved for a guy coming back from injury or whatever. No, this was a legitimate fans recognizing what Payton has brought to this team, the way that he's been super consistent this year. You keep thinking that he's got to have a dud of a night sometime, right? And nope, he's just making shots from Somerville, Revere. He was well beyond the line on some of these deep threes. Had one sequence where he took like a double step back, Tatum-like step back 3-pointer, and made one. Bullied his way to the basket for a second half bucket. I mean, just amazing to see. And the number that jumps out to me, I believe he became the 10th Celtic in history to make 500 3-pointers with his 500 career 3-pointer. I will say, someone told me the stat, and I said, 500 3-pointers this year. But no, that it only feels that way with Payton Pritchard and how good he has been. And so, look, one of our friends on the news side is putting together a little package about Payton's season, and he was asking me and saying, how did you know Payton Pritchard was gonna be in the mix for Sixth Man of the Year? It was one of my bold predictions for the 2024-25 season. And I'll admit, we'd been talking over the summer. We were doing this forecast series, and I said, with the way the Celtics were going to have to manage bodies over the course of the season, with the way that Kristaps Porzingis was going to miss games to start the year, it felt like there was going to be a real chance for Payton to play elevated minutes. And I'll fully admit, I thought that would help him start the year confidently. We saw last season just how good he was at the finish line. We know his knack for last-second shots, but he's just completely evolved even from that. And I just thought there was a chance for him, with consistent playing time, to score enough points to sort of be in the mix for that award, especially considering how good the Celtics would be. And I thought if the Celtics dominated the Eastern Conference the way they did a year ago, invariably someone was going to be in that conversation. I thought maybe two, even Hauser would have a chance at that based on, his impact typically, those two guys being the top net rating guys in the entire NBA last season. But Sam's battled some health woes to start the year here, and it's just been Pritchard who's been super consistent, even as the bench hasn't always played to a high standard, well, at least consistently. It's weird to say, right? Like, because Payton's numbers have been so good. I don't want to take away from what the bench has done. They were so good last year and so dominant, even when guys like Tatum weren't on the court, that it was a luxury that no team could match that depth. And this year, the numbers haven't been quite as glitzy. And yet, I think Payton was like a +8 net rating coming into the week. It'll go up tonight. Nothing to sneeze at by far. They're just still trying to find the right pairings. And some of that is just Joe's been tinkering and trying different lineups and going double big and, throwing Drew Peterson into games. And Drew was actually very good tonight as well. But here's Payton just embracing this opportunity, getting big minutes. I think he was up over 28 minutes per game. I thought even with Porzingis coming back, I thought that number might start to crawl back towards 25. I think last season he only played 22, 23 minutes per game. So if you can find consistent time for Payton Pritchard, good things are going to happen. And clearly the way he's playing, there is no reason that number shouldn't stay elevated. And even with something like Drew Holiday having a rough patch there, like at 34 years old, can you find a game or two along the way to downshift him? Not necessarily the full Al Horford resting first nights of back-to-back or second nights of back-to-back, but just, pacing Drew as well so that after a championship season and a gold medal summer that you can find pockets of rest. And I think that's part of the reason that Tatum downshifted tonight. In a way, because the Celtics only have this one game against the Wizards, and essentially they could buy him 2 full weeks off if they were to rest him on Sunday. I don't think that will happen, but even if he just plays that one game, a week and a half span, 10-day span, that's more rest than he gets at the All-Star break. That's more rest than he gets probably the summer, considering the overseas travel and everything that went into Team USA. It's pretty remarkable that the Celtics have been able to downshift this early in the year with Jason Tatum and get him some extra time just to be feeling as good as he can. Because you start looking ahead, and end of December isn't awful, but big road trip out west to start January. It's like every other day through that month. Pretty much from January till the All-Star break is going to be a grind. And those are the doldrums when you got to kind of find some motivation. So I like that. They're kind of picking their spots here, able to get some guys some rest, and you don't feel there's going to be a downturn because you have guys like Payton Pritchard. You have depth options like Luke Cornett coming off and giving you a big quarter. You have Drew Peterson holding his own in elevated minutes. You have Nemish Keita able to come off. Jordan Walsh got time tonight, and even though he didn't make a shot, he's still going to be able to play hard and do good things out there. So I'll just keep saying it. While we tend to, the story with the Celtics is always their top 6 is better than everybody else in the NBA, and that's undeniably true. And that matters when you get to the postseason. Part of what has made this team so successful is the overall depth and being able to lean into that over the course of 82 games. So that's why you win 64 games. That's why you're the top seed in the Eastern Conference last year. That's why everyone thinks your path is easy, because you've made it easy with how dominant you were. And it sort of feels like the same thing's playing itself out here. Even if you rewind to last season, you can look at the standings now and go, well, Cleveland's still ahead and lingering, and they're going to be there for a while. But it felt like in January and maybe even late December, that's when the Celtics kind of hit the accelerator. And next thing you know, they had 15-game lead on most teams in the Eastern Conference. If they play like this, if they get this sort of style of play, 34 assists, I think the number was, season high, even without Jason Tatum, man, good luck NBA. I don't know what the solution is there, but credit to the Celtics. Shook off that ugly start, and then, man, the last 44 minutes of this game were really good, and a little reminder, a good palate cleanser after that Grizzlies loss. All right, let's get into some more Payton Pritchard gushing and more thoughts on this solid win overall from our post-game show.
So, Jalen, you look at the box score and you say 14 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, but he's plus 30. He seemed to have like a big impact moving the ball tonight. What did you see from him?
Yeah, I thought he set the tone. Took 5 shots in the first half, but he made it a point to really push the pace to create 2-on-1s and find his teammates and be a playmaker of that in his defense. And so I thought he did a great job of that in the first half, facilitating, getting the ball where it needed to get to. I thought he set the tone with that.
And then Luke Cornett comes in at the end of the first. Maybe a little bit of a chaotic start to the game, and things settle down, and he starts making some plays there. Just just to have him make some play, and then the pass to Derrick for the 3 later in the game. Just it seems like you can go to anybody on the bench and find somebody that can make an impact.
Yeah, I mean that's the credit to the locker room and the expectation and the professionalism that they sent. But Luke's physicality was a game changer for us in the middle of that first quarter at both ends of the floor with him. He does a great job of playing off. He can play by himself. He can play with KP. He can play with Al. And when those different lineups are out there, we take advantage of his defensive versatility. But he does a great job playing off the other guys on the offensive end, and kind of saw that with his screening, his cutting, and his passing, and his offensive rebound. So I thought his physicality really helped us there in his first stint.
What stood out to you about the way you guys defended tonight, 19% for them from 3, and also how connected the group was on both ends? Yeah,
we were definitely connected defensively. I thought our ball pressure was good. I thought our physicality was good. I thought we made them earn stuff. I thought our shifts were good. I thought the threes they did get off, most of them were contested, and so I thought we just played a well-connected game on both ends of the floor.
Speaking of Luke's cutting, that play where Kristaps is posting up and kind of or Cornet dives and kicks out for 3. What did that kind of say about Kristaps and Luke's ability to play off each other in that double big?
Yeah, I mean that's the versatility, right? The KP, X, Luke, Al, Nemi, those guys can all play off each other. They do a great job. Sometimes it's a little slower because we're trying to figure out the coverage and the matchup and who's on who and how we can get to our spacing. But their basketball IQ and their skill allows them to play, and we can take advantage of that versatility.
And Kristaps said this morning he feels back in the sense of being able to play off teammates and just the familiarity with everybody, but the conditioning's that next step for him to kind of be back fully to himself. How close does he look to you in terms of being all the way back to himself?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's there. His body's adapting well to the games. He's playing a little bit more he was on pace. He played 30 tonight. He was at 28, so he's in that 28 to 32 range nightly, and feels good. So I think he's getting there.
Before the game, J.V. Bickerstaff said that the Celtics team is one of the most unselfish teams that he's seen. Curious from your standpoint, do you feel like winning the championship last year has made you guys even more that way because everybody knows that it works? Or do you feel like the group that you started with last year already kind of had this mentality?
I mean, regardless of past results, I think it's I think it starts with just the guys that we have in the locker room. I think it's important to know that we do have egos. We just put them in the right place. It's not that we shouldn't have them. We should have them as long as they're put in the right place. So I think it's with the character of the guys, and I think they have a trust and an understanding of what can lead to long-term success. And, I think you have to commit to that every day, and I think the guys, work to commit to that.
JB said before the game that even without Tatum, you guys just kind of play the same way. You created 48 three-pointers tonight. I think you had 34 assists, one of your highest all season. What goes into the consistency you guys have been able to have over the last couple of seasons when you're missing key guys?
It's just the locker room. I mean, I think it's really just the expectation and the professionalism. It's not an excuse. Who's in, who's out, has an expectation to do their job, has an expectation to win. But I think it's just them. They don't miss a beat because of their preparation, their attention to detail. And when guys are out, you can take advantage of different guys' versatilities. With JT and Sam out, we played much more double big, and you're allowed to be more versatile with the Nemi, Luke, KP lineups. When you're in, it's difficult to get to those sometimes. So it's their preparation, their professionalism, and the willingness to just do their job regardless of what's going on.
Joe, it feels like we ask you about Payton every game now, but he even stayed in at the end of the game there with some of the guys who are usually in Maine or don't get a lot of playing time. How much does he enjoy those moments? Does he ask to stay in those situations? What is sort of the decision to leave him in there and just watching him sort of play a similar role with the starters and with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, he just loves to compete. So at the end of the day, I enjoy it. Teammates enjoy it. It's fun just watching him compete at a high level. He doesn't really play to a scoreboard. He just plays to compete, and that's a beautiful gift that he has. Thanks.
It is a beautiful gift that he has. 27 points for Payton Pritchard, 10 assists, 7 threes. And guys, what I really love about Payton Pritchard is that he doesn't have to start. In fact, you almost don't want him to start because you want that spark, Eddie, from him coming off the bench and just being as infectious as he's able to be.
Remember, Jaylen Brown said it a couple years back, said the energy is shifting. He speaks things into existence. And remember Media Day, what he said about playing Detroit? This is a game where Payton can get off. This is a game where Sam Hauser can get up 10 threes or Sam being out. What was the other option? Payton getting off. And so it was one of those games where recognition. Also your star player, right? Okay, you got Jason Tatum on the bench. The 1A, whatever you want to call him, 1A, 1B, whatever. And the other superstar we have only takes 12 field goal attempts. You got 1, 2, 3 guys that takes more shots than your star player. How unselfish, how self-aware of understanding, like, I need these guys, and if they got it going, I'm going to lean on them. And it's just a true belief in Payton, not only the coaching staff, the players, but also Payton himself.
What I love most is he checks in, he gets a legitimately loud ovation from the crowd because everyone's into the way he's playing this year. Got another one when he left the game. But he had that little step back, that Tatum-like step back behind the line. He had a couple shots from Somerville. Pritchard is just ridiculous with the way he's playing right now. And I don't know, I keep saying it. Just send that John Havlicek trophy right up to Boston, put it right on Payton's locker, and just keep it there until June.
Since you're talking about that, Sixth Man of the Year, right? Who in the hell else is in contention right now? Who is
I think Payton right now is above, 50% above the second guy?
Who is the other guy?
Is it Buddy Hield? Is it
Buddy Hield?
Oh, Buddy Hield has been playing well, but he hasn't been playing as well as Payton Pritchard. And Payton Pritchard being on one of the best teams in the league, well, the best team in the league. I ain't gonna say one of the best team in the league.
Just another step here in the storied history of the six-man title in Boston, from Bill Walton and Kevin McHale. There was the year Bird agreed to go to the bench and played a bunch of games at the end of the bench after getting hit in the face. Everyone just buys in. And then more recently with Malcolm Brogdon winning it a couple years ago, the Celtics have been blessed with players that are willing to slide into that role and thrive in it. And Payton's doing the same thing. Thank God Brad Stevens didn't trade him a couple years ago when Payton was looking for more opportunity, because they got it and he's showing what he can do with it. Celtics Talk is presented by 24 Auto Group, where now through the end of the year, they are doubling your down payment at all 11 locations throughout southern New England. Go to 24autogroup.com for more info.
Saw Derrick White knock down the three at the end there, too, and he mentioned it in his walk-off interview with Abby that it was nice to see him go in there and to knock down some shots, Chris, and he certainly did that tonight. If it wasn't for Payton Pritchard, it was going to be Derrick White who was probably headlining things.
Do you remember his first three attempt of the night, I think? It was off by 4 feet. And I'm thinking, man, what's going on with Derrick? He doesn't usually miss that bad, but everybody had a little bit of rust at the start of this one. Well, he made up for it because he barely missed after that, and that's the luxury of Derrick White, is when he's going like this. It's so weird to me that it just kind of blends in a little bit on a night where you're thinking, oh, wow, Luke had that big first quarter, and then Payton comes in and dominates part of that first half and into the second. But Derrick was just steady throughout, and every time the ball swung his way, he made a big play. And more impressive, Eddie, as you just grunted, that defense, when he turns up the blocks, he had a couple on the night, right?
I think he had one block.
He got only credit. I thought he had another one, but I'm going to have to go to the tape and check it.
Yeah, 1 block, 2 steals. But I think that got him going, playing defense. I think that first quarter they only had 16 points, so just being engaged defensively and allow him to get open shots. And also, besides him being engaged defensively, just look at the shots that he's getting. All those are in rhythm. The teammates are making the right play. He's walking into those shots. And that's the shots you want to take and want to get when you have been struggling. Think about the last, I want to say it probably was 3 games. We go back 3 games where D. White, we're like, man, D. White, he's not shooting the ball particularly well. But the one thing about it is you trust in your work. Your teammates trust you because they see you put in the work. The coaching staff trusts you. And then ultimately you got to continue to have that confidence of I got to let it fly. The next one, I can't make the next one unless I take the next one. So I'm happy to see him get back on track. 7 threes, 7 of 12 from the field. From threes. What else do you ask for?
He also had a face mark in the back of his head from the first half.
Was that tooth?
Oh, my God. Was that Ron Holland?
Yes.
You might have to get a tetanus shot behind that, don't it?
It's usually that stuff had been happening to Derrick White the last couple of years. Right. This time he was on the other end of it, Chris.
And the other part that I really love is he took a lot of turns on Cade Cunningham, especially early. Again, coming into the game, I thought maybe that would be Jalen's assignment, but it was clear they were putting Drew and Derrick on him and letting them do the work because Jalen was going to be so responsible for playmaking with Jason out. And I love the way Derrick just embraced that. Again, no one's going to be super successful in that instance. Cade's going to make buckets, but 18 points, 9 of 22. They made him work, and and his impact was all over that.
And you know what? Tonight we've been asking for this for a while. The 2 our two defenders, right? Our perimeter defenders with Drew Holiday and Derrick White. We want to see them try to put a game together offensively. We know what they could do defensively. Think about what they did tonight. 23 points from Derrick White, 12 from Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday very efficient, 50 from the field, 50 from three, 7 rebounds and 6 assists. I mean, that's the winning recipe right there.
Great bounce back, especially after
great bounce back. It doesn't necessarily have to be one of those games where you explode on the scoring side of it, but when you are tasked to guard a guy like Cade Cunningham, who is a certified hooper, a real baller out there, you got to put in a lot of work. You got to put in time. Your mind. Some guys might not have a good night's sleep thinking about how they're going to try to stop him. But the fact that they were able to put it together, I like to see that, and I want to see us to continue to move in that way. And both of those guys, offensively, and continue to do what they do defensively and with the team. I want to see that to keep going.
Yeah, and when you have that kind of starting five around Jason Tatum, it kind of gives you the luxury to say, we can give him a little extra time here coming off this extended break.
Payton, 6th time in your career you had 10 or more assists. Can you talk about how you're using all this gravity you've created on the offensive edge and expanded on that?
Well, I just feel like people are playing my 3-ball so heavy, and obviously I shoot it from a deep range, so they have to come and close out on me, and then it allows me to get in the paint. And then, obviously I just manipulate the bigs. If they play me, dump it off. If they don't, I'll finish it. I try to make the game very simple. If it's 2 on the ball, then I got to get off of it. If it's single coverage, then I try to finish.
Payton, you stayed in the game at the end there when a lot of the other regular rotation guys came out. You've said in the past you don't like the term garbage time, stuff like that, because you just like to play it to the end of the game. When those decisions come about, does Joe just know to leave you in the game? Do you ask to stay in the game? Like why is it important to you to stay in the game in those moments?
I have no decision in that. So if Joe was to come and give me that, I'd go sit on the bench. But if I got left in, so I just play as hard as possible. So obviously I'm in there with that group, so try to make sure we're still playing with good pace and playing the right way, get guys easy shots. Got Nimi 2 easy looks, and just help guys get going a little bit. So took the pressure off, hopefully, to get them in the flow.
Payton, you guys are halfway through the first quarter. You and Luke check in. You guys have only scored 8 points. By the end of the quarter, you have 27. You have an 11-point lead. What does that say about the energy that you guys bring off the bench and just the character as a whole of the team that everybody is always ready to deliver, even if things aren't really rolling to start?
I mean, you're going to start the game. You're not going to – sometimes you might not hit shots. I think we got great looks, and that's the job when you come off the bench. You see the flow of the game and where you can affect it. So, obviously, we did our job coming in and created an energy spark and got the lead. So, you walk away from the game, and I don't know what our plus-minus was, but as long as we're in the plus, then we did our job that night.
Payton, you just touched on it, but you shoot from way out. You took one from the hash mark. How important is that to the overall game? We've seen 3-pointers expanding out. KP shoots them from way out there. Everybody seems to be trying to go deeper and deeper. What does that do for the offense? Not just your offense, but just the offense in general.
Well, for me, it allows me to read the shot way easier because they're either playing up on me, then I drive. If not, then it's an easy release for me. It also allows guys to make the read. If I'm out there, if guys are in the paint, they're not going to be able to close out. So most teams now are going to take a step towards me, and I'm really past the 3-point line. So where they're helping at is already on the 3-point line. So you got guys like JT, JB, where the driving lanes are that much open. So it just it creates a lot of openness on the court and makes the driving lanes a lot easier and the reads a lot easier.
When JT's not going, does that change your mindset? Do you feel that changes the collective mindset of the group in any way in terms of how you're going to contribute and the ways in which you're going to engage?
It shouldn't at all. Try to keep the same mindset. I mean, at the end of the day, we try to hang our hat on playing just the right basketball. So no matter who is in, you make the right reads regardless. So it's not like JT's playing and you're like, oh, I'm going to get more shots tonight. That should never be the case. I'm always hunting to take the right shots, make the right passes. So, and when he comes back, we should continue to always play like that.
And is 6th man of the year something that you're intentional about at this point? Is that something you've put on your radar?
It's not something I really think about. If I'm fortunate to win, that's I guess a testament to the hard work I put in, and I think it just means that, you know, I've helped this team and coming off the bench and doing my job at a high level. So it's not something I'm like, if I don't win or win, it's not make or break it for me. I'm gonna continue what I'm doing, and but yeah, it would be an honor.
Pritchard, before the game, JB Bickerstaff said this is one of the most unselfish teams that he's seen. And then Joe said that it's not that you guys don't have egos, you just know where to put them. From your standpoint, obviously you've talked about being really confident even when you weren't playing, even when you weren't in this position. How do you balance being really confident and having an ego, but also together being a really unselfish team from your standpoint?
Well, I think Joe's right. We all have egos. We're all really confident people, and I don't think we'd be in the position we are today without a little bit of that. And you got to have that. But it's understanding that at times you got to do what's best for the team. And that's a selflessness that our guys have and should continue. So obviously it contributes to winning. And so, yeah, good group of guys.
And do you feel like winning last year helped make people realize that the way that you guys played is the winning formula? Like there's more buy-in even. You don't even have to push past it, if that makes sense.
For sure. I mean, you did it, so you know it works. So you should buy into it, and we should continue to do it. And what I love about our group is it really can be somebody's night every different nights. Like KP could go for 30, JB 30, JT. Like that's what makes it so good. Is just you can't really game plan one person. Like it could be anybody's night.
Payton, I've never seen a big like KP 7'2" just pull up from three the way he does. The confidence, the range. How does that change the way bigs attack guarding you guys?
I mean, he's a matchup problem because if you switch him, we always tell him, like, if he gets 2 feet in the paint and you throw it to him, it's almost automatic, or you got to foul him. And then, obviously, if a big is guarding him and he's on the perimeter, you have to, like, guard him way out. And what does that do for us? The driving lanes are open. There's no rim protection. And, obviously, that's a big problem with the guards we have. So, I mean, him and Al they open the game up so much for us, the way they can space the floor. So it is huge, and that's why he's a tremendous player.
All right, up next, a trip back to Washington again. I think this is the Celtics' third trip to Washington. Am I crazy? I think they had they played both their road games there because they went early in the season. Then they went back, did the D.C. thing and visiting the White House. And now they got to go back again because of missing the NBA Cup. What's weird is, so the NBA Cup semifinal games are, I believe, Saturday. So the Celtics are off until Sunday. Then the Cup championship game is early next week. And so the Celtics don't play again until Thursday after this. So it'll be one game in 7 days. Well, 2 games, I guess, including tonight. But another opportunity to get some practice, another opportunity to get some guys healthy. I'll be interested to see how they play it down in D.C. Do you throw everybody out there because you just haven't had a lot of games? Do you try to buy Jason Tatum more rest? Do you try to, do you flip it and give Jaylen Brown a little bit of a rest? Maybe don't take everybody on the road so that guys can have a couple days to rest. And I don't know, there's always a balance there. You don't want to disrespect the opponent. Wizards have struggled mightily, seemingly for every game against anybody but the Atlanta Hawks. And so it's a chance here for the Celtics to decide how they want to play it. And you know what? Regardless of who shows up, feel pretty good about the Celtics' chances. That's not disrespect to the Wizards. That's just how good the Celtics have been and how good their depth is. All right. It's so weird to only have one game to talk about. It feels like we're on a football schedule right now. But hang in there. We'll be back on Sunday night after the Celtics play the Wizards, and we'll get you through. We'll help get you through this. We'll navigate this. We'll get through this together. That Celtics post up. Maybe go check out the pod before this if you really need your Celtics fix. Me and Eddie House kind of taking the temperature from a 10,000-foot view on this Celtics team through what's now 25 games. I got a chance to catch up with Sam Cassell. I thought he was really good, talking about some interactions with Joe Mazzulla and what makes Jason Tatum tick and his desire to win another title. So check out that pod as well. We'll be back with you on Sunday night here on the Celtics Talk podcast.